Hi, I'm Will Leach, author of Marketing to Mind States, and this is your Mind State Messenger. Picture this situation. You're at a holiday party, and all of a sudden the person you're having a quick conversation with turns out to be an ideal customer for you. And all of a sudden it dawns on you, you can't remember their name. Has this ever happened to you? Well, I know it's happened to me. So today in this Mind State Messenger, I want to focus you on how to improve your short-term memory so you can remember people's names and maybe a phone number they've given you so you can help grow your business. So first off, your memory can help or hurt your business. So it's really worth investing just a small amount of time to make sure that you're getting the most out of your memory. So short-term memory, or what we call working memory, is first off, you have to recognize that it's very limited because it's so easily distracted. So in the prefrontal cortex, which is focused on keeping attention, when there's distraction, your prefrontal cortex actually has to work too hard and it forgets things. In fact, that lack of focus makes it to where your working memory can maintain information in it maybe 30 seconds max. Your working memory is tied to your ability to focus your attention to the information within it. So have you ever been in a situation where somebody gives you their phone number and you don't have anything to write it down on? You're like, just remember the number, just remember the number, just keep remembering the number. And you keep repeating that number. And then all of a sudden somebody plays a joke on you and they throw a couple of other digits in there. The reason why you couldn't remember that number was not had anything to do with your memory, had everything to do with your focus and your inability to focus on the task at hand. So when you are not focused, you are going to lose any information that you have stored in your working memory. So let's go back to that, you're at that holiday party and you're talking to somebody and they give you their name. What can you do to make sure that you remember that name long enough to maintain that focus and write that name down after the conversation? Well, good news. The first thing is drink your coffee. Studies show that when you have high caffeine in your system, you're more likely to maintain your focus and it actually helps your short-term memory. So go drink that cup of coffee. Secondly, as this person's talking to you, try as best you can to screen out any distraction. That's noise, that's movement, that's light, anything else. Do everything you can do to screen out. So don't try to focus on what they're saying as much as you are screening out any kind of a distraction. Third, when you hear somebody's name, you hear an important fact, say it out loud. It's commonly understood that as you say something out loud, you start to transfer that information from short-term memory into longer-term memory. So when as best possible, I know it's a cliche, but use the person's name or use that fact or that data point in a sentence soon afterwards. If you can do it more often, you're more likely to get that memory placed into long term. Fourth is your working memory actually focuses on getting structure around any idea, any name. So rather than making your working memory figure out the structure, give it structure yourself. And this is why people say that when you hear somebody's name, to try to think of somebody who else has that name. It gives it structure. Or try to associate that name with something else in the memory. Why? It gives it structure. So think as fast as you can to give that name or that data point structure so that your short-term memory doesn't have to work so hard. Now, if you are working with people, remember that you are also taxing people's short-term memory. You could be. So don't ask your customers to use their working memory. So for example, let's say on one landing page, you have some information, some facts, and maybe a 3-digit code or something like that. Don't ask that person to take that 3-digit code or that 6-digit code and then use that code somewhere else on your website. I know that sounds like common sense, but there's so many people that believe that, well, I gave them the information here. They just have to plug that information on a pop-up window. Realize that even that distraction of a pop-up window, happening on your computer screen, you are distracting your customers, which helps or forces them to lose that working memory, which means they have to go backward. And that's really, really frustrating. And if you are going to do it, if you do need to, for whatever reason, have your customers remember something, allow them to focus on just one task. So here's an example. If you have too many calls to action at the end of a conference presentation, you can confuse people. So if you've ever been at a conference presentation, it's very nice to say, hey, you contact me here on LinkedIn, here's my Instagram, here's my Twitter feed, and also here's my email address. And then you're trying to figure out, well, how do I write this information down? Who's this guy again? What's their name? That will hurt you every single time. So if you're in a conference presentation, you know that people aren't going to be taking active notes. You may just want to give them one way to contact you, just to give them enough time to bring out their phone and type that in. So don't overtax other people's working memory. Guys, when you remember the small stuff, people feel understood, they feel appreciated, and that is just another way that you can grow your business using the power of behavioral science. So if you like the Mindstate Messenger, and if you want to grow your business using behavioral science, I would encourage you to go to mindstategroup.com, where we have various programs and resources that can help you apply behavioral science to help your customers listen, care, and act.